10 minutes in. Okay. All right. Good. Here we are. All right. Back, you guys. So yeah, we're live. Um, Back to what I was saying. There is no other reason for us to read the Torah unless we want our lives to change. We shouldn't be doing this if we're not interested in, you know, following the ways of the Most High. We shouldn't even take the time to even open up the book. The Most High doesn't want us to waste our time, and He doesn't want us to waste His time. And you know, so don't get discouraged about going through the Torah portions. Don't, don't get what you would call fatigued from reading them because you're seeing the same thing over and you're asking the same questions. The Most High has definitely um, enshrouded the Torah with things that are able to help us in our lives, and it's just a matter of time when it's going to be revealed. So let's get started in our teaching. Let me see here. Share it. Okay, cool. Times I put in it. Okay, here you go. I want you guys to tell me if you see my screen. All right. Can you see my screen?
Yeah, we can see it.
Okay. Okay, wonderful. All right, so here's the breakdown of this week's Torah portion. We're in the book of Numbers, and we read chapters number 4, 5, 6, and 7. Chapter numbers 4 has to deal with the duties of the Leviim, which are the two families that are mentioned, which is Gershon, which is in the west, and Merari, which was in the north. And when it talks about being in the west, it's talking about where they were camped. You may want to take notes. They were camped in the west. Okay. Gershon. The Merari family was camped at the north. Now, these have great significance. We're going to talk a little bit about that today, but we're not going to focus in on that. Chapter number 6 is where we're going to put our focus. Okay. Chapter number 5 is dealing with the purification of the camp, which is to remove people with zazarat or people who have issues, bodily fluids that are oozing, or they have sores and things of that nature. So they need to be removed away from the camp. So the Most High is asking them to be put outside of the camp. So we know that there's what they would call boundaries that are put in place in order to separate the clean versus the unclean. And this is a theme that we're always going to find in the Torah. We're always going to find being close to the Most High requires for people to go through the process of purification. You cannot be around the camp of Yah being unclean. So what he's saying is that, not only just spiritually, but he's talking about physically, right? So we don't want to get our lines crossed up where we're so spiritual that we think that the physical is immaterial and it doesn't matter. The physical actually matters, okay? Because we're physical people. I have highlighted there the word teshuva. Teshuva basically means to repent or to go through a process of saying you're sorry. And so there were some ideas that are found in that about how if an individual, whether a male or female, have done anything, then they were considered to be unfaithful to not only the person that they did the act with, but also to with the Most High. They've acted in a way that was not pleasing to the Most High, and therefore there was a penalty that needed to be paid to the person and also to the Most High if something was done wrong. That penalty was a 20% tax, which shows us that when we do something wrong, the Most High requires not 10%, like a tithe, but actually 20%. You say, well, why 20%? What's the 20%? What is the idea behind this? The idea behind this is to say that when we make a mistake, or if we do something to someone, and it's not always intentional, that on the scales of justice and balance, the Most High looks at like, okay, well, you said you did something wrong, but you have to make sure that you make it right. You don't make things right just by simply saying, I'm sorry. There has to be some type of fee. There has to be something to weigh out what you've done. So the measure for measure is, okay, I did something against you. Kill, I gypped you out of $100 and I didn't realize it. I overcharged you. Okay. Also, I say, great. It was brought to your attention. It was found out. Now, what are you going to do with it? You're going to give Kill back his $100. Yes. Great. So what you did was you made it, fair. Now it's supposed to be squared away now, right? Well, the Most High said, because of this infraction, I need you to add to that. I need to add a certain percentage to what it was that you've done. So the tax on it is saying you're not only just making what's made right, but you're paying for the crime. So there's a fee, there's a fine for what we do. Okay. And why is this important? Because when you look in your life right now, we always want people to say that they're sorry and they think that saying sorry is just enough, but it's not. It's not enough, not according to the righteousness of our Creator. So this tells you something about who we're dealing with. Okay. Um, Moving on down to the next part called Satah, Satah, under number 5, chapter number 5. This word right here we're going to cover. We're going to go over a little bit to give you an idea of what this means and what it's talking about. Just a little heads up, it's talking about being unfaithful in marriage. It's talking about being faithful in some type of way, and we're going to dig in a little bit deeper on that. And of course, chapter number 6, which is going to be our focus, about a Nazir, and talks about these are some laws of the Nazir, right? And the blessings of the Kohanim, right? We're going to talk about that in chapter number 7. Of course, we're not going to talk about any of this, but the ideas behind it is something we're going to talk about, which talks about the dedication of the Mishkan and dedication of the altar. Okay. So we're going to look at these ideas. Now, you might ask yourself, what does the word Naso mean? Naso. Basically, what Naso means, everyone, is to lift up and to carry. Okay. To lift up and to carry. So, we find that idea in the duties and the responsibilities of the priest and what they were supposed to do. We find this idea about the Naso and the lifting and the carrying up and traveling through we find that through the repentance, because Naso is connected to the idea of Nasa, meaning to forgive. So we have that as another idea that's found in there. And of course, I want to focus on some of the aspects of being a Nazir. Okay. So let's go ahead and get started with this. It's not going to be a long lesson at all, I don't think. Okay. So let's deal with Gershon. As you know, in Hebrew, all names mean something. It means the characteristic of the individual, right? So your name is your character. This is not Gershom, which is Moses' son. One of his sons' name is called Gershom. This is Gershom, okay? Kind of sounds like what you would say, what do you call it? Well, not Gershom. So the Hebrew root here for Gershon is these three letters, which is the Gimel, the Resh, and the Sheen, which are represented by the G, the R, and the SH. Now, when we put all those letters together, it's called Garash. And basically, Garash means to thrust out, to divorce. Like when you're thrusting someone out, or when you divorce someone or your wife, you're going to push her out from your house. Then she's going to go back to her own father's house. But it also means to drive out from a possession. And literally, what it's talking about is exile, to drive someone out. So Gorash means to get rid of, and it means to push them and force them out. Okay. So you ask yourself, well, why is this name connected to the name Gershon? Huh? Well, Gershon is located, as we saw in our opening statement, that Gershon was located to the west of the tabernacle, which is indicative of the fact that the Most High is giving them the heads up that if you go against what I'm telling you, you're going to be exiled. And where he's going to exile you from? I'm going to exile you from the east to the west. The east represents being in a relationship with the Most High and his face shining upon us. Being in the west means to be far away from the Most High. And the idea of us being away from the Most High demands for us to turn. And that's where you get that word teshuva. So teshuva means to repent. So I'm going to try to use my little finger right here to kind of write something up here for you right quick. I always tell you that the east is where the Most High is at, okay? And this is where the priests were. They were on the east side. Then you got the north, okay? Then you got the west, Let me get Bruce back in here. Then you got the west, and then you got the south. Okay. So each one of these family members were located in certain locations, and then the Most High was in the center, okay, of the tabernacle. Okay. But geographically, what we're finding is that the Most High would enter in through the east. His presence would enter in through the east to come into the tabernacle. Now that the Most High has torn away the tabernacle and we're not dwelling with each other, the Most High said, I'm going to send you from the east to the west. Once you get to the west, what does he want you to do? He wants you to start thinking about what's happened to you because I've driven you out from your possession. Okay. Once you start thinking about it, then he says you're going to repent. You're going to teshuva. Teshuva means that you were going this way, and all of a sudden now you're going to turn back and go towards the east. Why is the east important? Because the east is also the mindset. There's an Eastern mindset and there's a Western mindset. The Eastern mindset is completely.
Doctor told me I needed to eat healthier to live.
The Eastern mindset is completely different from the Western mindset. Okay. The West mindset. Can you put the device on mute for me? Thank you so much. Let me see. Hey, Bruce, thank you. Okay, so anyway, he didn't mean to do that, just an accident, everyone. Okay, so here we have it. The West is the different mindset. Okay, so when you're in the West, you have the Western culture, you have the Western mind, the Western way of thinking. He's saying, I need you to return from the West and go back towards the Eastern mindset. I need you to go back to the culture. Okay, now there's something else about Gershon that I want to tell you. If this is representative of his name and your name is your character, then that tells you about how these individuals of the family of Levi think. The Gershonites or the Gershonies, they are different. They're going to handle all of the soft goods of the tabernacle. So they're in charge of all the curtains, all the coverings, the badger skin, the linen, all the different coverings for the tabernacle. They're the ones who's supposed to go and take those and carry in them. So they're in charge of all the soft goods. All the soft goods they're in charge of. Okay. All the things that are soft and delicate, all the coverings. Okay. So the idea behind his name is telling you that the Most High is trying to deal with his personality. Okay. That's what he's dealing with. He's dealing with the personality of that family. Okay. Remember, the Gershonites are from the family of Lewi. Oh, there's two people in the waiting room. Let me see. Didn't see that. There you go. That let them in. Okay. So Gershon is a family, right, that has sons and different clans. So it's not just him. He's just representative of that whole entire family of the Levites. Okay. So the Levites, they're just one branch in the Levite family, the Leviim. Okay. So remember, these people are the ones. Could you put your device on mute? Thank you. These people are the ones who the Most High is using to these people are the ones that the Most High is using to join the family of Israel to himself. Okay. What we want to pick up from this is this. Since this individual is so harsh, these are people that have no nonsense. Okay. That's why they're connected to divorce, because they're the kind of people that are very ready and able to get rid of someone without even thinking about it. They're the person who would drive a person out faster than anybody else. So the Most High is using them to move the soft goods and the coverings to kind of calm them down. Now, when he talks about Naso in our Torah portion about what they're going to do and carry, what he's talking about is he's literally putting these people. What is going on this morning? He's literally putting these people in to service. Hopefully you can see my screen. He's literally putting these people into service like the Army reserves. So when he talks about Naso lift up the heads of these people, he's not saying one time. He's saying from here on out, everybody from his family, from generation to generation for eternity, as long as they're on the face of this earth, they're always going to be in this service. Every last one of them. Okay. So it's like they're automatically joined into the military and they're always in a reserve status that they can be called upon at any given moment. They're not working all the time, but when it comes time to move, I'm calling upon this family to do it. Okay. So I just wanted to bring that point out as well. Okay. Because remember last week we talked about how Israel's an army, right? And this family, the Levi'im, are part of an army too. Their army is like we're in charge of moving everything. Okay. So the idea behind them moving the soft goods is to help curtail or minimize their personality trait about this family. Everybody in this family have a certain way that they do stuff. They're quick to throw somebody out. They're really quick to do that, right? So when they're traveling and they're moving, they were supposed to be quick to take down the curtains. They're quick about it. So the Most High is using their character in his service. I think that's the point that I'm trying to bring out to you. Okay. Now, when we talk about the Meraris, I really love the Merari family, and a reason why I love them is simply because of their. I like their name. I think Merari is such a really beautiful name, but it has a very negative meaning. Merari means to be bitter. Okay, so you ask yourself, well, why did Most High choose a family that's bitter? Why would he choose a family like the Gershons to, to be the thrust somebody out and be quick and they're impulsive? Why would he choose them? Why is he choosing the Merari family? Right? Well, he's choosing the Merari family because he's trying to deal with them, because their name within itself, that whole entire family was a group of people that dealt in bitterness. What are we to learn from this? Whatever family you come from, there's some personality and character traits that you inherently get that you need to work on. Okay. So this family was one that is enraged. They're the ones who, all of a sudden now they say something or thought something, thought and perceive something some kind of way. They become non-cooperative. They're just stubborn. They're not going to do anything. They're bitter. They're angry. They hold grudges. They do all this kind of stuff. So the Most High chose this family to do what? To Naso, to carry out his work. And when he calls upon them, why did he choose the Meraris knowing that they're bitter? Because the Meraris, in order to soften the Meraris, okay, the Most High is going to use this bitterness. He's going to use this rage that they have. He's going to use this non-cooperative response to perceived provocations to help them learning how to work together as a family. Because they're in charge of all the hard goods. So the Gershons are in charge of all the soft goods, the curtains and everything. The Meraris are in charge of all the posts, all the wood, all the planks, all the things that are very, very heavy, which require an intense amount of strength. It takes a whole bunch of cooperation to come together. It takes a lot of unity between them. Okay. So there is a lot of things going on in this family that the Most High is using his service to him in order to deal with these problems and these character traits that they have. So now that's the beauty of the Torah. Because it's not only the Merari family that may have a family of bitterness and be enraged and easy to be provoked because of what they think. Okay. Most High uses them. And look at the love and the care of the Most High. So what are we to learn? When we're dealing with individuals that have bitterness and they're always angry and all this kind of stuff because of what they think, what have they perceived in their minds? You can't go back and change. Oh, no, that's not it. No, that's not how it works. Okay. The only thing that works for bitterness is hard work. You got to put them in a position. So if you have children who are walking around and they're uncooperative, not talking about mine, the only thing that works is for them to go through some hard work. And here's the bottom line. The Most High uses hard work to deal with people like this. The Most High uses hard labor to break a person down physically. Something about hard labor breaks a person. Something about having to do this and they have to do it together is something that keeps them in check. So this is the reason why he chose the Merari family, just in case you wanted to know. Okay, moving on. Okay. I found something in my meditation this week to talk about, had I cherished evil thoughts, my master would have not listened. This is what David said in Psalms chapter number 66. And I thought, well, this is a good thing to write down because what we need to understand is that we are the servants of the Most High. And if you and I hold on to those things, like I just talked about the bitterness and all this kind of stuff, if you love those things, if you love evil thoughts, then Yahweh is not going to listen to any prayer. This is talking about have listened because Yah listens to our prayers. But the condition upon listening to our prayer has to do with our approach and who we are as a person. So there's no way that you and I can think or even imagine or even convince ourselves to believe that the Most High is not going to hold us responsible for our thoughts. So, what is an evil thought? That's the question. Well, to say that it's evil, our definitions have been given to us by a group of people in the West to tell us it's someone who's walking around with fangs or a red cape and they're the devil. Someone evil is someone who kills someone. Someone evil is someone who just steals things and they're just trying to always hurt someone. And so we're thinking, well, you know what? I'm not that person. So because I'm not this person, then I'm not associated with evil. And that may not be true. The truth of the matter is that evil is something that brings harm to someone else. Okay? And what can bring harm to someone else and ourselves is the way that we look at things. Evil is someone who's doing something that brings misery or discomfort. Okay? So when we're having these conversations about people and we're thinking about them in any kind of way, and you say, well, I'm not going to do any harm to them physically, you can actually emotionally do harm to people. Just about what your opinion about them may be. Okay, instead of you looking how the Most High looked at Gershon and Merari to try to figure out a way how to keep everything in check or to help build them into better people and help them instead of being non-cooperative, put them in a position to make them cooperate together. The bottom line is just do the opposite. So a person who has these evil thoughts is a person who's trying to, if you speak evil of someone and you're not interested in helping them, you criticize them and you don't know them and you're not looking for their good, that's an evil thought. And so these are the things that we haven't been taught. And these are the ways of, the Western mindset. So we don't want to do that. So what is evil is what they would call dysfunctional, because on the opposite of that is called tov. And tov means not only to be good, this is tov, meaning good in Hebrew, G-O-O-D. I'm sorry for writing a little slow. My pen on my other thing doesn't work any longer, so I got to use my finger. So tov is good, but good is a very abstract term. Who can determine that? So in Hebrew, good means what functions, okay, and what works well, okay. So if good is functional, then the opposite of that would be that which is dysfunctional, okay. So everything that's functional works well. That's why it's called good, okay. So if it's functional, it's good. Like your car. If it gets you to where you need to go, it's functional. It turn on, the transmission works, the starter starts up, the spark plugs fire when they're supposed to. It's good. Something that's functional is, an oven in your house. You heat it up, it heats up when you ask it to. When you put the dial to whatever you need to. I don't know if you have a conventional oven or if you have something that has digital on it, but if it doesn't do what you need it to do when you need it to do it, then it's not functional. So we're talking about function. So Dawid is saying if I have cherished those things that are not functional and good in my thinking, my master would not have listened to me. And the reason why the master is not going to listen is because the master is not interested in us doing those things that are dysfunctional. He's only looking for us to do that which is good, like he told Cain. Okay? Matter of fact, the first time the word Naso was ever first mentioned is in the book of Genesis, chapter number 4, where Cain talks about that the punishment that he had to bear was so intense he wasn't able to bear it. He couldn't Naso it. I can't bear this. I can't carry this weight of this punishment that you gave me. It's too much for me, right? That's the first time Naso is ever mentioned, is in a setting of that which is punishment, that you're going to have to bear the consequences of your actions. Okay? Likewise, the Most High has been very patient with us, and he's been bearing us for a very, very long time, thousands of years. The Most High has been very patient. He's been carrying us. and he's been bearing us, and we have been what they would call a burden for the Most High. But he's still carrying us. So if the Most High has been long suffering and enduring with us for so long, then why can't you and I endure with others? We need to be more patient, and we need to carry those that we need to. So I just wanted to bring that point out right there. We have to find a way to start being more functional in our thinking versus dysfunctional. So when you have a thought, and let's be accountable to ourselves, when you have a thought, think about what is functional for me. Is the thoughts that I'm having right now, are they good, are they tov, or are they raw? You have to do that. You can't allow someone else to come and tell you because they're not knowing what you're thinking. A lot of our thoughts are secret. So don't cherish those things that are dysfunctional. That's what we're finding here. Okay. In your Torah, the Most High said to Yahweh, he said, tell the people of Israel, when a man or woman commits any kind of sin against another person, thus breaks faith in Yahweh, he incurs guilt. Okay. So that idea of committing is what they would call ma'al, meaning to, in Hebrew, meaning to be treacherous. Okay. To be unfaithful. Okay. The sin is missing the mark. That's what sin is. It's not just an abstract idea of I sinned against you. It means that I missed the mark of perfection. I missed the goal, the goal of whatever it may have been, whether it's to move something to a certain location. I didn't actually, get all the way there, or to go to a different position, go to the right. I only went, a little bit to the right, except for I didn't meet my destination. But the act behind being unfaithful that affects the person that we've done this to, the Most High is telling us that our relationship with each other is just like our relationship with Him. So if we're breaking faith with one another, we're being treacherous, and we don't have good intentions towards one another, right? Even in an idea of doing on an accident, because some people do things and they don't even realize what they're doing. He's saying that you're breaking faith with me. So when I mistreat my wife in any capacity, or your husband, or your brother, or your sister, or your neighbor, you're breaking faith with Yahweh. We weren't told that. We're thinking that we're living to ourselves. And the fact of the matter is everything around us is a direct result of the Most High allowing us to be engaged with one another on any level it is. That means if I do anything to any of you live or on class today, and I've said something to you, or I've done something to you personally, I can actually break faith with Yah. My treachery towards you can be towards Him. Well, what's the connection? Well, you're made in His image and His likeness, meaning you're the very image that He has designed. If I'm looking at you in a way that dishonors you because you don't have certain things, or you're not at a certain level, or you don't have any certain wealth, or you dress a certain way, or you live in a certain place, or you drive a certain car, or you work, you don't have this level of education, or this or that and the other, I'm breaking faith with Yah. We're being treacherous. And we didn't know this. These are reminders on how we're supposed to live our lives. Again, the Gershons and the Meraris. Yahweh will use the negative things about them in order to help inspire them to make them better people. It's not like you and I are not going to be around people that are not going to be problematic for us, but it's how we deal with them. And I think that's what the Most High is trying to bring to our attention. It's about being faithful to Yah. And the way that we be faithful to Yah is how we're faithful to one another. Yahweh said, tell the people of Israel, if a man's wife goes astray and is unfaithful to him. That's the next idea. So we see that we can be unfaithful to one another. We see that we have the unfaithfulness here in the marriage covenant with the wife. We see that. When it talks about her going astray, what it's literally talking about is her deviating from the path. Okay. And what she's deviating from is the idea, and turning away from is her husband's authority. This idea of going astray, also too, the Hebrew word is dealing with turning, right? Like going astray means to turn. The word turn in Hebrew is connected to the word hate, which means that you're turning away from someone or something because you believe it's going to do some harm to you, right? And it means to be opposed. So hatred, opposition, and deviation from authority is reflective of the fact of going astray. Is this just dealing with the wife? Or is it dealing with a nation of people who have turned away from the Most High and have become unfaithful to him? So you ask yourself, well, why is the Most High always using a woman to talk about unfaithfulness? Because a wife is, she's a gift. She's the prize. She's literally the prize. She's the crown on any marriage. She's the crown, as the Most High had indicated in a lot of texts where he talks about how Jerusalem, he's going to put a crown on her, and she's the most beautiful of all nations. So she's someone supposed to be looked at, and people will look at her, supposed to say, wow, what a great husband you have. Look what your husband has done for you. Her beauty is reflected by what she has done for her husband, right? So here in this context about going astray is her deviating from the man's authority, which you and I find that, she doesn't want to fall underneath his power. Okay. Just like we don't want to fall under the power, we, male and female, we don't want to fall under the power and the authority that Yahweh has over us. We don't want to follow the one who gives us orders. We don't want to follow the one who has made decisions for us because he knows what's best for us. We don't want to follow the one who says, I need to enforce obedience from you. See? So this is the reason why this is here. This is not an attack on a woman. This is an attack on Israel. The Most High is using this. He's teaching us through this relationship about going astray and deviating from authority. Why has she deviated from authority? That's the question. There's a lot of reasons why, we deviate. When I say we, I'm talking about us as a bride or a woman or the wife of the Most High. There's a lot of reasons why we deviate. And I think one of the biggest reasons is because we don't want to be told what to do. And the reason why we don't want to be told what to do is because we want to have our own course and we want to do what we want to do. We have our own agenda. We don't want to go in the direction because that's not where we want to go. And we know that the one that we're with is the one who's leading us to where he wants us to go. See, that's the difference. Is that the Most High wants to take us to places that we don't want to go. And that's the reason why we're not there. Until you and I decide to listen to our husband, okay, then we're not going to go to where we need to go, where he wants us to go. And I said, we need to go where he wants us to go. But we're not ready. We're not ready for that because we haven't accepted the fact that there's an authority over our lives and we're going to have to bow down to it. Okay. That's what brings me to that word that I mentioned earlier about satah. Okay. Meaning that at this in particular moment in time, not saying anyone here online or anyone listening, we're revolting. Israel has a spirit of revolt, meaning that we're going to go against the power and authority that's already in play. And the one that we're going against is the one who's designed the heavens and the earth and everything in it. The one that we're going against is the one who outlined what marriage should be between a man and a woman. The one that we're going against is the one who said, I prescribe this way of life for you, and this is what I want you to eat. The one we're going against is the one who's told the sun, the moon, and the stars when they're supposed to rule. He rules them. So think about what we've actually done. See, the Torah portion is to bring us in the cycles to continue to remind us, not to pat us on the back and tell us what a wonderful job we've done and how good we are as a people. It's to us to be reminded. And the Most High is not trying to hurt our feelings. He's trying to bring about the change that's necessary in order for us to go forward in this relationship. We can't move forward in our relationship when we're going against the authority that's already in play. And that's what makes us a foolish people. Yahweh said to Moshe, tell the people of Israel, when either a man or a woman makes a special kind of vow, the vow of a Nazir, consecrating himself to Yahweh, and then I begin to stop right there. And then it goes and it talks about those areas. You read it this week, talking about what are the things that a Nazir is supposed to do. Okay. Well, one of the things that I want to point out to you in the Hebrew, which I always find, is something's always different. So this idea right here is called Yafli. Yafli, okay? And Yafli, and just Y is the Yod and the PH, Just put the letters up here and then the L and then the E or the Aleph, which would be the I. Okay. So this Yafli, put some vowels in here. Yafli. Okay. So Yafli, that's how you say it. Yafli. So the Yafli has a root in it that we should be looking at. In Hebrew language, there's the roots to an understanding of a word, and that is right here, these three letters, which is the Pei, the Lamed, and the Yod. Excuse me, the Aleph. Okay. So these are the three letters that we want to focus on. The letter, that Yod right there, which is that Y sound, the Ya right there, that right there, it means a hand and it means he. So it's going to tell you he's going to do something. Okay. So what we need to understand is that they're using this word called consecrating. Okay. So that's not the word for Yafli. That's not Yafli. Okay. So consecration is through the idea of, there's a couple of different words for consecration. One is to be set apart, which is kadosh, right? So that's not the word to be used right here. There's another word called kanuka. That's not being used right here. This one is yafli. So there's another idea that we need to find out about when he talks about what's important. Now, before we go on, I want you to understand that at this time, you and I are not authorized to make any type a vow of a nazir to the Most High, and neither are we in any position to make a vow to the Most High. Okay, because according to the text, I don't have it written up here. It's in Deuteronomy. It talks about when you're going to bring your vows, whatever you vow to the Most High, you got to bring it to Him. And right now, we don't have any way of doing that. If you have a Nazir, there's a woman, I was going to show you a video about her, and she cut all her hair off, and she thinks she's in the Nazarite vow with Most High. She wrote a book about it and everything. Our people are doing what they feel like they're going to do to impress the Most High with their understanding. And that's the problem, because we're not humble. Again, we're in rebellion and we're in revolt against the Most High. We are the astray. We are the people. And I talk about we, meaning us as a nation. Because regardless, if no matter how well I'm doing, if the whole entire nation and there's individuals in it that are doing other things, the Most High doesn't say, well, you know what? I look at them differently. I'm going to look at Akika different than I look at the rest of Israel. No, I'm part of the nation of Israel. When Israel suffers, I suffer. That's what it is. When Israel lost those wars, all of them lost it, no matter who did whatever they did. When one man stole something and the whole nation suffered because of that one man. See, not everybody made the golden calf, but the Most High was going to really kill everybody because of what those individuals did. See, so, and that's why Moshe said, you're going to take it out on the whole entire nation because of one group of people. See, so he looks at as us as collective. Okay, we're all unified. So when I talk about what we're doing, I don't want you to take it personal, like I'm pointing directly to you. I'm telling you, as a nation, we're having some issues. Okay, but going to this word of pala, okay, meaning speaking to authority. When it talks about speaking to authority versus going against authority, it means that one is interceding for themselves or on behalf of someone else in order for Yahweh to make a decision. But also, too, it has an extended meaning to mean something beyond one's own power. Okay? That's what it is. It's something difficult to understand and something extraordinary. This word, when the Most High talks about taking a vow, what he's talking about is you're being introduced to something that you don't understand. You're being introduced to something that's extraordinary, something that is divine, something that is beyond your own power. So when a person takes a vow as a Nazarite, what they're saying is they're going to go into a realm with the Most High that makes them just like the high priest. And what do I mean by that? It means, like he said, when they come to me and they have to make their vow, there's certain things they can't touch a dead body, just like the high priest couldn't touch a dead body. Somebody died, he couldn't go near his mother, his father, his brother, his sister, anybody next to him, just like the high priest. So this is a way for them to make a connection, and this was something that was voluntary. It wasn't something that was mandatory upon the people. Okay, so this was something that was completely voluntary, but the idea behind it is that like you read in your Haftarah about the Most High choosing Samson or Shimshon for him to be a Nazarite. Okay. And meaning that everything that he was going to do was beyond himself, beyond his own power. Now, I'm not trying to discourage us from saying, hey, don't do a vow in a sense like, it's, something we should never think about. What I'm saying is we don't want to do what we want to do. We want to do the way that he said to do it. Okay. But there are things that are associated with, and there's ideas that are associated with a Nazarite that we can learn from. So it's not that you and I were out of the box where we can't do it. So why are you talking about it, Akika? If we can't keep it, then why are you talking about it? I'm talking about it for a few reasons. Number one, so you don't make the mistake of saying it and doing it, which you can bring harm to yourself. People don't think about this. Okay. They're not thinking that once I do this, I'm going to be held responsible for the words that came out of my mouth. Okay. And I can be destroyed. Okay. I don't want you to be destroyed. I want us to learn from what this means. You can learn based on what is written in the text about Pala. You saw it with your own eyes that their word Pala is right there. When he talks about Yifla or Yafli, Yafli is conjugated that way, but the word that's connected to it is called Pala. So being a Nazir is something that's beyond your own power. It's something that's extraordinary. It is definitely a wonder, okay, that you get in contact with the Most High on another level. Okay. Now, the Malach of Yahweh answered him, going into your Haftarah in chapter 13 of Judges, and he asked, well, why are you asking about my name? It's wonderful. That word wonderful right there is Pala. So the word Pala was mentioned in the Torah portion that talked about how he's to consecrate himself. And then here it is now where this Malach of Yahweh who visited the man called Manoach and his wife to talk about Samson, he says that his name, he says, why are you asking about my name? It's Pala. It is Pala. That means it is extraordinary. It's wonderful. It's beyond your power. Of course, right? So it was used there. Then he says, indeed, in here in the Torah portion, or excuse me, in Davarim, you find about something being extraordinary. And one of the things that I wanted to encourage us with is to understand that in chapter number 4 of Deuteronomy, Moses is telling us about what's going to happen to us in the future. And he says, inquire about the past before you were born, since the day Elohim created human beings on earth from one end of heaven to the other. Has there ever been anything as wonderful as this? Has anyone heard of anything like it? Did any other people ever hear the voice of Elohim speaking out of the fire as you have heard and stay alive? What's so wonderful? What's so extraordinary about this? What it's telling us is that you're an extraordinary people. That's what it's telling us. Only an extraordinary people, only a people that live outside of the bounds of their own power can understand this. This is the problem, and I'll go back to the slide. This is the problem with us. Yes, we're an Ivri. We're an Ivriya. We're people from beyond. That's what Ivri means, one from beyond. What we need to understand, we have to live in the idea of something happening to us that is beyond our own power. When we're talking about, speaking to authority, we're talking about speaking to Yah, or like Manoach and his wife was speaking to an authority that was stronger than him. It says, mistranslated in English, that they said we're afraid because we saw God. No, they said we saw an Elohim. We saw a mighty one. They didn't see Elohim. They didn't see Yahweh. They saw a mighty one. They saw something that was difficult to understand. He jumped in the fire. That was difficult. They saw something extraordinary. But this extraordinary power, this power that's beyond your own control, that's the reason why you go to the Most High in prayer. That's the reason why we shouldn't hold on to any type of evil. These are not religious terms that are being used to teach us on how to be better religious nutballs. This is teaching us on who we're talking to. Who or do we have a relationship with? We have to become extraordinary. And we do that by going to the Most High and understanding what he's saying to us. We have to realize that we're living in a power that's beyond our own control. And like Moshe said here in Deuteronomy chapter number 4, you need to ask somebody. Because nobody on the earth has ever heard Yahweh speak except for the children of Israel. And I keep telling us over and over again that you were there. You don't want to accept it. You are an extraordinary people under extraordinary circumstances with an extraordinary Elohim, with an extraordinary covenant, with extraordinary Torah, with instructions. What other people on the face of the earth has ever had an Elohim speak to them and live as you and I have? All their gods have never spoken to them, and never have they ever heard his voice. But we have, and lived. This is indicative of the fact that the Most High's intention is to do something extraordinary for an extraordinary people. He's going to do something that's beyond our power. It's very difficult for us to understand. Don't feel bad because you don't understand. There are things that are so difficult to understand, and it's meant that way. Otherwise, if everything could be understood, then we wouldn't be here right now. He said, I haven't given you a mind to understand. I don't have the text in it, but it's Deuteronomy chapter number 29. I haven't given you eyes to see, and I haven't given you an understanding heart. Why? Because it's not that time. There's a timing issue. And anything that's going to be brought to perfection, anything that's going to be meaningful, anything worth looking towards, okay, requires dedication. Anything meaningful in our lives is going to require dedication. We need a dedication when we're talking about relationships, when we're talking about marriage, talking about raising children, talking about the work that you do. The work that you do is the work that you do right here on this earth. And you only have a certain amount of time to do it. And after that, you're not going to be able to do it anymore. If you're told to go cut a yard and do what mama asked you to do, go do what mama and daddy told you to do. There's only a certain time you're going to be able to do that. There's only a certain time you're going to hear mama and daddy's voice. There's only a certain amount of time that you're going to learn about how to do agriculture, or how to trim and do flowers and plant. And there's only a certain amount of time. There's seasons for everything, people. We need to wake up and pay attention to the details. That's what we need to do. But it comes from this word called dedication. And the word dedication is found so many places. I mean, they're not only found in the Torah and the writings and the Tanakh, but they're found in other writings like the book of Maccabees, and it talks about the day of, Chanukah, the feast of dedication. This word Chanukah right here is dedication. But to be dedicated means that one is supposed to have a willingness to do something. They have to be committed and to give up their energy for it, to give whatever they need to get in order to accomplish what they're looking for. They need to give it their all. And of course, dedication means to be trained. It means to begin something new. Just like the dedication of the temple is something new. The dedication of the altar, beginning something new. The dedication in the Mishkan, something new. The dedication of one's mind to the Most High, to say, I'm going to take a vow. I'm beginning something new. Being a Nazir is something new. Being a Nazir takes willingness and commitment. Why? Because there's always a law. There's always a law. There's always instructions for everything. Even in this case of a Nazir who's making a vow. And for his offering to Yahweh for being a Nazir. So we have people today that are saying that they're a Nazir. Go look it up on Google. Go look it up on YouTube. You got people that are burning their hair over a barbecue pit, and they say that they're Nazir. And they're writing books to say they're Nazir. And they got a whole bunch of other people doing the same stupid stuff. The same foolish stuff. Okay? Foolish and stupid are one and the same. Someone who's covered their mind from understanding and from really learning. They can read the part about not eating grapes. They can read the part about not drinking wine. They can read the part about not having any vinegar to drink. They can read the part about all those things. But one of the things that they didn't read is right there in front of their eyes. There's a law. There's an instruction for this. And you and I cannot advocate the law in order to fulfill our own fantasies about being close and being a Nazir to the Most High. All this is a test. And they're failing the test. You say, well, how is that? There's nothing wrong with it. They're trying to just, I've read some comments. They're so committed. I think you're so humble. You're so humble before God. I wish I could be like you. I'm going to do the same. A bunch of fools, because they still don't understand the idea behind why the Most High is given a Torah. The Torah is the recipe. The Torah is the instructions on the back of the box. Do you understand? So in order for you to understand what to do and how to do it, and for it to come out the way that it was intended, then you and I should be able to follow the instructions that are written in the scroll. So don't get it twisted and think that you and I can become a Nazir. Now, what we can do is we can learn from the Nazir. One of the things that I did learn about it is this. A Nazir is someone who's not going to have any grape juice, any wine, or any sour wine. They're not going to eat anything unclean. They're not coming next to anything unclean whatsoever. So that right there disqualifies a lot of people, because we're in a land where people die and, people are going to funerals and everything. And they don't have an offering to bring to Yahweh. The wine is used because the Most High understands that the wine is given to bring man joy. That's where man finds his joy. Okay. On the opposite side of that, if he's telling them that you can't, and this is for a male or a female, both a man and a woman can become a Nazir. Okay. They can take that vow. I'll get a little bit more into detail, but the reason why it's not the wine, okay, is simply because the wine is supposed to bring joy. So what you're doing is, instead of you finding joy in other things, you're finding commitment and dedication to the Most High instead of yourself. That's what this is about. It's about abstinence from a whole bunch of other things that you don't supposed to come next to, that everyone else is exposed to. You're different. You're set apart, okay? The dedication too, of course, we know that Kanak means dedication, but it also too is found in the idea of a person's locks in their hair. Okay? It's your locks, called a para. And what the para means is that you are unrestrained. That means that you are not interested in any type of control about your hair. Okay? What does it mean? It means that you're devoted. What is the para? What are your locks? Your locks are a crown that sits upon your head. Okay? And you're supposed to let your hair, listen to me, you're supposed to let your hair grow like the vines in a vineyard, uncontrolled, untamed, unpruned. And you're supposed to just let it grow and grow and grow and grow. Okay? That's what you're supposed to do. And why? Because the Most High wants you to grow. During the time of being a Nazarite is a time for a person to become very strong and strengthened. Remember, in the 6 years you're supposed to work your vineyard, in the 7th year you're supposed to just let it lay fallow and don't harvest it. So your dreads are the vines in your vineyard. Okay. So instead of you having the vines that you're eating from and drinking the grapes and being joyful, you're running around now with these vines on your head, and you are separating yourselves. You're learning the idea of growth and development. Okay. One of the most important aspects of dedication is learning how to let go. So when I say grow and let go, like with the dreads is symbolic of that. Okay. It means to ignore things. It means to avoid things. It means to neglect things. Okay. It doesn't mean for us to walk with the Most High and being reckless. What it's talking about is for us to be more like revolutionary, meaning we take a dramatic change. Getting locks in your hair is very dramatic. It takes a lot of discipline. You're supposed to just let your hair grow. You're not supposed to tame it. You're not supposed to cut it. You're not supposed to trim it. You're not supposed to do anything. You're supposed to just let it go. So the idea of dedication towards the Most High is found in the locks, like a vineyard. So you're just letting it grow. The growth there in Hebrew doesn't mean just let it grow in length. What it means is to magnify. Anything that's growing is magnifying. It's getting bigger. It's getting larger. So your hair, even though it's growing and it's getting longer, it's called gadol. It means that it is becoming mature. So the reason why these individuals are taking these vows wasn't for an idea to just be, religious. It was for self-development. And what can you and I learn from this? Because a lot of us don't wear dreads. I do, but I'm not trying to be a Nazarite. I'm not. Well, I'm learning that having dreads requires patience and it requires development of me personally, right? I have to trust the process. So, what can you and I learn from this, even though you don't have dreads? Well, what you can learn is you got to learn how to let go. When we're walking with Yah, we got to let go. In order for us to grow with the Most High, you got to let go. That's the reason why he's using the locks as an example. So even though you're not in the land, even though you don't have an offering, you can still take some of the principles of it and understand that and ask for wisdom. If you want to grow your locks, grow your locks. But just don't say that you're a Nazarite. Don't say that. Don't say that because that's not true. Because there's a lot to go. There's a law that goes along with it. This is the sign, or this is the symbolic, or the symbolism of it, and what we need to understand. So hopefully you can take what I'm teaching you today to understand the purpose of the growth and the development. Okay, because that's what it is. Okay, so you got to let a lot of stuff go. Just like they had to let go of the wine, they had to let go of the certain things, and so when festivals would happen, they were sitting around, everyone else is drinking except for them. Their joy wasn't found in the festivals with the wine. Their joy was found in the dedication towards the Most High. Their joy was found in the idea of them personally being developed as an individual. And when you do this, or when they did this, they had to do it wholeheartedly. Okay? And they did it for a certain period of time. And he left it up to them for whatever that vow was. Okay. So what I want you to take from it today is that you and I, when we walk with the Most High, he wants us to grow and he wants us to let go. You got to let go. It's like you would with your hair. You got to let go. If you make a vow to Elohim, don't delay in discharging it, for Elohim takes no pleasure in fools, like we talked about. Like I talked about a whole bunch of fools earlier that are saying and doing things that are not according to what the Most High has instructed. So discharge your vow. Why? Because if you do this, then something's going to happen to you. Okay. Better not to make a vow than to make a vow and not discharge it. Don't let your words make you guilty. Okay. A lot of people don't have a problem with being guilty. They love it because the New Testament tells them that they're always guilty. They were born guilty. So what the hell? Doesn't matter. I'm already guilty anyway. That's why I need Christ. So don't let the temple official. I got it in red because this is false. Okay? So they're thinking they're going to go to church or they're going to go to the temple and you tell them that you made the vow by mistake. That's what you think you're going to tell the temple official. Right? And then it finishes it up by saying, why give Elohim the reason to be angry at you, at what you say, and destroy what you have accomplished? This is the warning. This is the punishment for it. But the temple official is not true. There is no temple official. In the Hebrew, it says the Malach of Yahweh. So, when you open your mouth and you make a vow to the Most High, you think you're going to walk away from it and don't discharge it. You think you're dealing with a man. You think you're dealing with a human being. You're thinking you're dealing with someone who gave a man to be murdered and he's innocent and put on a cross. That's who you think you're dealing with. More than likely, it'd be a Malach of Yafli. It'd be a Malach of Palah. It's going to be a Mala of a wonder and extraordinary that's going to hold you responsible for the words that came out your mouth. That's who you're going to deal with. You're not dealing with a temple official. You're dealing with the Malach of Yahweh. Just like the Malach of Yahweh shut up with Balaam because he told Balaam don't do something, he did it anyway. He had to deal with the Malach of Yahweh. Yahweh sent him to kill him. Yahweh's going to send a Malach that you and I don't know nothing about because it's beyond our own power and it's beyond our own understanding. He's going to send one of his Malachs, the Malach of Yahweh, one of them, and they're going to destroy you. And they're going to destroy everything that you work for. Because you said something that you were foolish enough to say without even thinking about the words that came out your mouth because you don't know who you're talking to. That's a fool. See? So we need to understand this. So my admonition to all of us is we need to keep our mouth closed about telling Yahweh what we're going to do and what we're going to do for him and what we're going to do when we're going to do. You don't have the power for that. You have no way of discharging your vow. You have no way of doing it. So it's better for us to keep our mouth closed so we won't be guilty of this crime, because it is a crime to make a vow to the master and the majesty and the splendor and the holiness of Yahweh, who lives in the heavens and is above the heavens and the earth. And you and I said something and we weren't able to perform it. So the anger of Yahweh blazed up against Israel and he said, because this nation violates my covenant, which I ordered their fathers to obey, and they don't pay attention to what I say, in the future, I will not expel ahead of them any of the nations of Yehoshua left when he died. This is how I would test Israel to see whether or not they will keep the way of Yahweh. Whether or not they would keep the way of Yahweh, living according to it, as their ancestors did. This text is here because it is the text that was mentioned in the book of Judges to let you know why the Most High is using the individuals he uses in Israel's life. Okay. In our Haftarah, you're finding out that the Most High is going to send a savior and a judge for the Israel by the name, the man called Shimshon or Samson. I know our Haftarah was chapter number 13, but I was led to read chapters number 1 all the way up to 13. And what I discovered is that the Most High said that the children of Israel forgot about him. And the only way that he was going to get to them is by testing them. And the way that he tests them is by bringing other nations against them. Because that's how he deals with us when we forget about him. Okay. In the text here, it says, again, the people of Israel did what was evil from Yahweh's perspective, and Yahweh handed them over to the Philistine for 40 years. That's a pretty long time to be oppressed by your enemies. This is in chapter number 13, verse number 1 of your Haftarah. In the Hebrew, it is by itself, meaning like in the Hebrew, there's different sections, and it splits the scrolls in different places and different teachings. So when I say that it's by itself, all he wanted us to know is chapter number 13, verse number 1 is a total different section than everything else. It's not connected to verse number 2. It's a teaching all by itself. That's what it is. So if that's the only thing that he wants us to know in verse number 1 is separate from the teaching of verse number 2, it's not a continuation. Verse number 2 is not a continuation of verse number 1. So this in the Hebrew language tells us something about why the Most High separated it. He separated it, everyone, from all the other verses in there is because he wants us to focus and get your attention on this. It wasn't the story just about Manoach and his wife and the angel and him getting in the flame and making an offering and the Malach of Yahweh, which is the messenger, delivering the message that this child is going to be a Nazarite. That's not the focus. That's not where the attention should be at. The attention should be is that the people of Israel did what was evil from Yahweh's perspective. See? So when I mentioned earlier about the Nazarite vow, the people of Israel are doing what is evil from Yahweh's perspective. When it comes to what the Most High said about the set apart times, the Moedim, the children of Israel are doing what's evil not functional from Yahweh's perspective. Remember, evil is not with the cape. See, it's what's not good from Yahweh's perspective. It's not what's functional from Yahweh's perspective. So they're going against the authority of Yahweh. And when it talks about Yahweh's perspective, it's according to how he sees it. And that's what you and I need to be concerned with. How does Yah see it? When you're reading your Torah, ask yourself, how does he see it? Not the way that I want to view it. I can sit here and tell you all day what my opinion is. You don't want my opinion. You don't want the opinion of people that you're listening to on YouTube, or the people that you're dealing with on TikTok, or the people that you're dealing with on Instagram. You don't want their opinion. You don't want their side of the story. You don't want their perspective. You don't want how they see it. What we want is Yahweh's perspective. Yahweh's perspective is outlined in the Torah. It's how he sees it. It's his design. It's what he sees is right and how he sees what's wrong. He sees what is righteous, what is wicked. Yahweh handed them over to the Philistine for 40 years because they were testing him by their actions, or they're letting him down. And so he says, you know what? I'm going to send these people in there. I'm going to send these people against them to find out what they're made of. I'm going to test them. So I'm going to send in the Philistine for 40 years. So the purpose of sending the Philistines is not just for the fact that he just wants to harm his people. The purpose of sending us into exile, and it's not to harm us. The purpose of having the Merari family carry all the hard goods is not to punish the Meraris because they're a bitter people. It's not to punish the Gershonites because they have a problem with just being so impulsive and willing to send people around just ready to throw things. They had to be delicate. He had to teach them how to be delicate. That's why he gave them the linen curtains and everything, and the soft goods to fold it up nice and neat. You got to be soft with those things. Then he turns around to give the people who are bitter and hard and strong and all this, and he said, I'm going to use your strength in a positive way and how you guys can cooperate together. You see? So here, he's using the Philistine. Now, the Most High is using the Western culture to see whether or not we're going to look at their way and their perspective, how they see it, how they see family, how they see diet, how they see relationships, how they see counseling, how do they see what's wise? What is their understanding? Are we going to adopt their ways, or are we going to stick with what they said, or are you and I going to look at Yahweh's perspective? The left-hand side of your screen, it says Berkat Kohanim. This is the blessing of Yahweh that the Most High had instructed in chapter number 6 that we're talking about. Aaron and his sons to give the people of Israel a blessing. Speak to Aaron and his sons. Don't speak to the Gerashonis. Don't speak to the Kahats. Don't speak to the Meraris. Don't speak to Judah. Don't speak to anyone else except for Aaron and his sons. And tell them this is how you are to bless the people of Israel. You are to say to them what? What is the blessing of the Kohanim? Yahweh Reka, Yahweh Yishmareka, Yahweh bless you and keep you. Yair Yahweh, the Panai Elecha, David Kanuka, may Yahweh make his face shine on you and show you his favor. Yisa Yahweh Panai Elecha, Wayasham Leka Shalom, may Yahweh lift up his face towards you and lay upon you peace. In this way, they are to put my name on the people of Israel so that I will bless them. Now, here's the problem. The people of Israel are doing evil from Yahweh's perspective. What do you mean, Akika? There are individuals today that are saying this. Somebody tell me what's the problem with them saying it. See if you're paying attention. What's the problem with people today saying, why Yavareka Yahweh, why Yishmareka?
That blessing was only assigned to Aaron and his sons.
Wow. So Aaron and his sons are the Kohanim who have been installed into the service of the Mishkan, who have the holy anointing oil on them, correct? Right, Mishal?
That is correct.
And they went through a 7-day inaugural service to be installed into that position. And we were told anyone who puts their hands to any of the work that they are to do is to be put to death. Correct?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
So the question is, are the people of Israel doing what's evil from Yahweh's perspective? Yes. Yes, we are. Not they. Yes, we. Why we, Akika? Because I'm part of the nation of Israel. And so are you. So this is where we're having a problem. This is the reason why there's a delay in our change, in our status. Because the children of Israel today are still the people of Israel. When it talks about the people in Hebrew, this word people right here, just to make it very clear for us, is not people. It's children. The children of Israel are doing what is evil from Yahweh's perspective. They're not doing what is good. So this is being said. The Birkat, the Kohanim, the priests, and they're saying it. People who are not even Yisrael is saying this. And this is for them. This is why we're in the land. This is not a church slogan. This don't supposed to be said to make everyone there feel like Yah was with them. How could you be cursed in the land of your enemies and then you go around and say Vavarayeka Yahweh Wayishmareka? How could you say Yair? The Yair right there, everyone, is they're not telling you the Hebrew, they're giving you the Hebrew name or word, but they're not telling you that this right here has to do with light. That has to do with light. The light of Yahweh's face, his face to shine upon you. That would contradict everything that was written in the Psalms about when are you going to let your light shine upon us again? We're in our enemy's land. I changed this word. It said, and to give you peace. I put the proper translation about lay upon you peace. We're not at peace. Our nation is not at peace. Our people are not at peace. So he hasn't set this and laid this upon you. Yissa has to do with Nasa. Yissa, Nasa, that he right there is he to lift up Yahweh. May Yahweh lift up his face toward you. Well, he has done that for me, Akika. I got a good job and I make, $100,000 a year and I got a nice house and my health is perfect and I read the Torah every week, so it's all good. Is that for all Israel? No. But here's the danger. The dangerous part, everyone, is not only what they're doing, okay, but it's also about his name on the sons and daughters of Israel, the children. They were to put his name on the people. They're the only ones that have a right to put Yahweh's name on someone. So when you say Yah Vareka, the Yah is he, and the Vareka is blessed, and the Ka is you, Yahweh. So when they said this, when they would say Waya Vareka, and they would say Yahweh, that was the blessing. The blessing was to have Yahweh's name placed on them. That was asking Yahweh to do something for the people. And they're the only people that had the authority. If you understand what authority is, I'll put it up here for you right quick. You know how to spell authority, right? Let's just stop with the first part of it. Forget my writing, write my finger. The authority has to do with the author. The author is the one who put it in place. If you talk about authority, talking about authorize, authorization. Who's the authority? Who did Yah say is authority? Aaron and his sons. They're the only ones who are authorized. They're the only ones with the authority to be able to put Yahweh's name on you. Do you see? So everyone else that is saying this, that is trying to bless in Yahweh's name, the word bless right here means to bend a knee. That means that Yahweh has now bent a knee towards you to hand you a gift. We're not here to receive gifts. You're here to learn about how our ancestors and ourselves have turned our backs on Yahweh. And we need to turn back to the Most High. We're sent here to teshuvah. We're sent here to learn. We're here to humble our hearts. We're not here to play religious games and say that I'm a priest and that I'm going to put Yahweh's name on you and I'll make everything in your life better. And I'm here to pray for you. You understand? It's time out for playing games. This is what the Most High is bringing to our attention. In this way, they are to put my name on the people of Israel. In this way. That's the Torah. That's the instruction. So it was instructions for them, not for anyone else. So when we hear these words, now I got something to tell you. I said these words before. Just to let you know I'm not innocent. I said these words before. Because I was doing what I wanted to do. Because I wanted Yah to accept me. I want him to accept what I said. Because how I felt was so important. You know what I'm saying? How you feel don't mean nothing to me. It's what I said. If I said to Aaron and his sons, it's for Aaron and his sons. I'll go to war with anybody. Anybody. I challenge anybody on Facebook, anybody on YouTube. I challenge anybody. I'll go to TikTok. I'll do whatever you want to do. I will tear you down because this is what the Most High said. I'm guilty of it. So I'm not here to condemn. I'm here to bring to our attention that you and I are not in the business of playing a game with the Most High. We're not going to say stuff that he didn't say. You follow me? We're not going to do that. Okay? So don't get your feelings hurt because you want to be blessed. There's no way for you to receive the blessing of Yahweh because you're not in your land and you don't have the priesthood and you don't have the people who are authorized to put that on you. You don't want somebody out of some other land or some city with cockroaches in their building to turn around and say they're going to put the name of Yahweh on you. You don't want that. You want reality. Here's your Torah and Haftarah and your Tehillim, your meditation for next week. I'm hopeful that we learned something today. I'm hopeful that we will stop trying to impress Yahweh with our own ways of thinking. I'm hopeful that we learn that we have to do what Yahweh sees as right from his perspective. I'm hopeful that we're not going to, try to create or recreate something that we had no authorization for. I'm hopeful that we learned about how to dedicate ourselves, meaning to let go, to grow and let go, just like you would with your hair. We're learning from that. It's not, you don't have to be a Nazarite to understand that concept. He's using their lifestyle and what he did for them to show us this is what it was. This is what it means. You don't need to say that you're going to do a Nazarite vow in order to show me some devotion. You don't need that. If you're in the land, you would need an offering to come and do it the way I said. But while you're in your land of exile, we can still learn. We can still learn what dedication means. We can still learn what growth and development is. We can still learn those things because we're not religious. We're not religious. We could take the principles that happen in the physical and apply it to the spiritual and the spiritual to the physical, and we can look in nature and find out. So next time you look at a vineyard, understand, oh, well, that's what he's talking about. Growth and development. Letting go. Let it rest from any work. No trimming, no nothing. That's what it is. That's your teaching for this coming up week. Okay? Take your time. Understand, you don't have to have all the answers because it's not about having all the answers. It's not. I'm looking for my